This is Dr. Briscoe here. I'm a teacher at Suncoast Community High School in Riviera Beach, Florida. We're on topic 2.5 today, checks on the presidency. This is the first video on the topic, and we're going to be looking at how it is that the Senate can check the presidential appointments, how some of those could lead to a conflict, and the lasting influence of life tenured judicial appointments. So what will we learn? We've got our lesson overview here, and then the topic overview where we're looking at the executive branch appointments and then those judicial appointments. All right, we've got our task verb here, task verbs describe and explain. And we've got 4 questions here. Why was the president's power of concern before the Constitution was ratified? Which appointments and nominations need to be confirmed, which do not? And why are those judicial appointments with life tenure so important? This is a graphic that I borrowed from Ms. Hitchcock that is showing you the various nominations and appointments that a president could have during their tenure. Remember the Supreme Court, there's just 9 of them. And of course, someone would have to retire or pass away. But we've got a lot of federal judgeships that could be filled. We've got cabinet nominations and then a bunch of civilian employees. And many of these may be kept on from administration to administration because these are experts and there's no partisan issue in terms of them performing their job. All right, we're in Article 2, Section 2, where it just gives us the power that is the associated with the president's ability to do these nominations here. And we had Brutus 1, where there are some highlighted parts that are of concern to the anti-federalists, in that they thought that the president's ability in this area would just be so great that it would just be another reason not to have a president. And so if you think about Brutus's argument, you have to go back way back to Unit 1. We've got pretty much the office of the president as a single president will attract self-interested individuals who will use the power of the office for personal gain. All right, so that's a general concern. And then we have the Federalist rebuttal to the anti-Federalist concern. And I'm not going to talk about all of these, but essentially we end up with the Senate that is large enough in membership to prevent corruption, but is small enough to prevent significant delays. There's concern about the House too big, going to take too long. So we end up with the Senate as the appropriate body to be doing these confirmation and prevent any corruption that the anti-Federalists were concerned with. Here we had the power of the president related to treaties, which we're not talking about here. Okay, I got highlighted here from this graphic. You've seen it before. The Senate confirms presidential appointments. And so that is a legislative check on the president. And here under executive power, appointing cabinet members, choosing White House staff, nominating Supreme and federal court judges and justices. Cabinet members need to be confirmed. White House staff do not need to be confirmed. The judges and justices, they must be confirmed. So no confirmation of these White House staff. These are people that have a loyalty to the president, maybe known personally or by way of someone that the president knows. They work in the West Wing of the White House primarily. They serve the function of making the White House run, helping the president, do the job that he's been elected to do. Despite not having to be confirmed, these people can be very influential and vice president to do things, not do things, and those can have some pretty big impact on domestic and foreign policy. Remember that you can always pause the video. With the judicial appointments and the fact that they had this lasting influence, we look to Article 3, Section 2, which just says that the president has this authority, and we know that the president then would have it be on the Supreme Court because of it being implied that if the Congress is able to create inferior courts, and the president would have to have the power to nominate, appoint judges to those courts, just like he would to the Supreme Court. And we have tenure being during good behavior. I've got in bold there. That means for life until you choose to retire, unless you are removed for bad behavior, which would be some sort of impeachable defense that would be alleged by Congress. Not going to go through all of this, but just essentially understand that these nominations for the courts are people who are carefully vetted or reviewed to see where their political opinions may lie, how they feel about certain controversial issues, their personal history, and then certainly views on some very specific things relative to things like presidential power or abortion right, things that are very critical. They are going to be considered either liberal, conservative, or moderate in terms of how their votes will impact the rulings, and they tend to be younger because they can serve on the court longer. And this is just a graphic that is showing length of services by justices when it is that they take their oath for their offices. And there are many who will stay for longer periods of time because they come in as younger people, therefore being able to influence for quite a bit of time. In selecting members of the White House staff, we've got some multiple choice questions here. They're going to have a personal loyalty to the president. The Senate must confirm all of the following presidential appointments except the White House staff, which is true of most federally appointed federal judges appointed by the president. They're going to serve for life unless they get impeached and convicted or removed by Congress. And what should we take away? We're able to answer the questions that we had at the beginning. And so just briefly, why was that power of concern with Brutus 1? President could just amass power and just run amok and do all sorts of things to enrich himself. Presidential nominations, those that need to be confirmed and not. And then judicial appointments, important because the judges and justices serve for life and therefore can have an impact for decades and decades into the future. We're back where we started with describe and explain, and that is the end of the video. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.